So have you used this much?
No, I've only used it one time. I was part of I'm on this wrestling group, wrestling page, and a guy that's here in Waycross started it. Him and some other people, and so I helped him interview Zach Gowen. He was the guy that wrestled with one leg back in like 2002, 2003.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right, we should be live on the WGC page.
All right, let me share that.
So if you want to share the group wrestling page, and the guy that's here in Waycross started. Oh. It's a few seconds behind, I guess.
Yeah, it usually is. All right, I shared it there. And Buford Tabletop Gaming. All right, cool. I think I got that shared. Actually, you know what? I'm going to cheat and use my phone.
Okay. We'll give people a couple minutes. They'll all go on and.
All right. Let me see here. It's easier to share. All right. Here, share to a group. There we go. I'm going to share it places. I like to share places that I'm an admin because nobody can tell me not to.
Exactly. Yeah, it would only let me click on. I couldn't even do it on my own profile. It would only let me do like one.
Really?
One page when I went. You can do multiple, but you have to pay like a premium or pro account.
Gotcha.
And all that. So this is part of the free.
Gotcha.
The free deal.
So it looks like you got a few people on there. I don't know if you can see who's watching or not.
No, I tried to do it, and it
should be able to on the Facebook feed.
Oh, on the Facebook feed, probably, yeah.
So I think, see if I get any feedback on that. No, I think that's just taking me to StreamYard, yeah. Let StreamYard see your Facebook Live comments. Okay. Okay, cool. All right, maybe that did it. All right. I'm good. We have 4 people watching. I don't know if live comments. There you go. You probably need to go in, log into the Facebook part of it.
Right.
Where the live feed is, and then bring that up on your screen. And then it'll give you the option to share your live comments, and then you should be able to see your live comments. And then on the right-hand side, you've got the chat there.
Yeah, I'll have it on. So, okay. We can start, maybe.
I'm at your disposal. I wore my Coastal Con shirt, so I'm ready to go.
All right. So here we are, folks. I'm here with William Mac McClelland. He's up in Buford. He's doing some good things up there. Some big things.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know I was doing anything good, but okay, I'll take it.
Well, from what we've heard, from what we've seen. So I guess first of all, how long have you been gaming, Mac?
1985. So I started on the old Redbox D&D stuff, where you had to color your own dice. You had to color in the little pips. The dice came with a crayon, so you could color them, and then you wipe the crayon off. Incidentally, for those that don't know, that trick still works on your acrylic tokens, so highly recommend it. Just an old crayon. So that's when I started gaming. I didn't get into miniatures gaming. Probably the thing that got me into miniatures gaming, for the life of me, I can't remember the name of the game, but TSR put it out, and it was a D&D box set, but it was supposed to be large scale warfare. And it just had little chits in there for your armies. And that was my first introduction to miniature stuff. And I read the book and I was like, oh my gosh, I went down in the basement and started building stuff out of cinder blocks and 2x4s. So
I got you. So that's where your knack for your creative building skills came in.
I guess
at
so.
At a very young age. So, when did you start the Beaufort tabletop game? Tell us about that.
Beaufort tabletop gaming. That's a good question. Let me look. I'm not really sure. It's been a while. It started pretty small, and it actually just started as me for a place to share what I was building and share my minis and stuff like that is what it started as. And then I just had a few buddies that were in the group. They just kind of filtered in and started posting their stuff, and then it kind of grew. We're around 300 and something people. Now, some of them are kind of spread out. We have people, some game developers that are overseas are in the group as well. But we got a pretty solid core of people. And then just recently we had another group in town, Beaufort Board Games, and they were having they weren't having a whole lot of activity on their page. So we just kind of combined so that we could, because I'm not really much of a board gamer, but
right.
I like board games. I'm cool. You know, hey, if you're going to play something, I don't really care. Play something. So I thought it'd be a great idea. The admin, Jackie from their group, came to me and was like, what do you think? I was like, I think it's a great idea because I'm all about growing the community. So, yeah. And that is the tale of Beaufort Tabletop Gaming.
Are you the sole admin?
No, I got a couple people that help me out. There's no way I could be the sole admin. I run a whole bunch more groups. So,
right. Yeah, that's how we are. We got, there's 5 of us on there. We had 6, but we had a guy that a few months ago, he kind of just had enough and kind of needed to do some stuff on his own. And so he kind of stepped down as an admin.
Yeah, I think so we've only got a few, but
right.
It works.
So y'all have y'all's own store or building that y'all use?
We got my basement. Now we do occasionally when there's no coronavirus, our gaming group kind of shrunk. We've had some medical stuff for some people, and we were back and forth meeting in locations, and in the process of that, our role-playing guys, they all connected, and our regular meeting night is when they meet for their D&D night or their RPG night, so they can't make it to game night. So we just moved it back to my house, but we're at liberty to use my church building whenever we want to. So we use that when we want to. In fact, this summer, once all this Corona nonsense is over, we're going to be hosting Bolt Action and Blood Red Skies tournaments at the church building over the summer as fundraisers for Coastal Con 2021.
Okay. Well, you know, Michael Baker here, he now is a distributor or whatever you want to call it for Warlord.
Yeah, I have Eric Fontaine, who's a little bit closer than you guys are.
Yeah.
He's just down in Pooler, so I can be in touch with him and connected with him inside of about an hour. So Waycross is a little bit farther away than that. So
we have a Facebook user, but when I click over to the Facebook page, it's actually Heath Coker. He's in our group.
Okay.
He said, important question from Mac, South Carolina or Clem sucks?
Well, Clemson, because my wife went to college there.
That's what I remember that. So yeah, go Clemson.
And I don't really care one way or the other because I went to Liberty University. So I'm not even.
I'll pull this out real quick. It's my Clemson leg.
There you go. So I'm not even really in the discussion because my team doesn't even compete there anyway because I went to Liberty University. But my wife's a medical provider and she went to school at Clemson. So I like Clemson by default.
Right. Well, my wife went to Carolina, so I kind of converted her. So
yeah, I don't care. We've got University of South Carolina Beaufort here. And well, actually she went to both because we've got the satellite university here. And right when she got out of high school, she went to USCB for a while and then left for Clemson.
Gotcha. So. Well, tell us I mean, you're wearing the shirt, so that opens it up. Tell us about Coastal Con.
What do you want to know about Coastal Con? It is okay, how about this? It is the premier gaming convention in the Southeast. That may or may not be true, but that's what we're hoping and aspiring to. So Coastal Con happened like this. I think you know about this. I know Mike knows about GnomeCon that used to happen in Savannah. I don't know if you had ever been to GnomeCon or not.
No, I heard of it, but
it was a pretty good convention. Big 40K tournament, the last one anyway. Big 40K tournament, big X-Wing tournament. And those things are great. Don't get me wrong. I like 40K. I like X-Wing. I'm not a game basher of anything. There's not any game I don't like. But I remember after going last year, I went and ran some demos. Last year, well, whatever their last year was, I went and ran some demos. And then I think it was, it couldn't have been more than 2 weeks after the convention that they posted on the page that they weren't doing it anymore. Right. And I thought to myself, oh man, that sucks, because I love going to conventions and running demos, and I take 2 of my kids with me when we go, and they help me run, and they really just want to stay in the hotel and have breakfast, but there's a price, and they have to help run demos. But I was really disappointed because it was close enough that it was less than an hour away from me, and I go to Siege of Augusta and Mace and Con Carolinas, Depticon, those conventions, but that was really close and easy to get to. So when they canceled, I was really disappointed. And I had been toying with the idea for a couple of years of doing a convention. The convention for me that I think is run better than any other convention I've been to is Mace in Charlotte, North Carolina. And that's run by 2 guys, Ron and Jeff. And so over the past couple of years, I had been picking their brains. I was like, what do you have to do? What does it take to do X, Y, Z to pull one off? And their first words were, don't do it. So I was like, oh, challenge accepted. I will do it. So right after they did that, I was like, man, I wonder if I should do this. I wonder if I should go ahead and jump in. So I started messing around a little bit and thinking about it and what I could do. Talked to one of my friends here, Seth Canoza. He does all of our artwork and stuff. He doesn't do the printing. Actually, Unipolar Games does all our printing. He designs all the logos and everything. He does that for me. He's an awesome guy. And it just kind of snowballed from there. And because I play games by independent developers, those are my favorite games. I thought to myself, there's not really anything out there that just focuses on independent game developers. And you're talking about guys like me and you who sit down one day and say to themselves, I'm going to write a game. I'm just going to sit down. I'm going to write a game, and I'm going to put it out there and make it available. So I thought, what better way to support them than by a convention? And let me tell you, dealing with independent game developers is the best thing in the world, and small market people, because they donated so much stuff to our raffle. We had a ridiculous raffle for our convention. And that's kind of how the whole thing started. And I'm a major pre-planner, big time. And so when the convention got here, what was going through my mind was, all right, here comes the part where everybody says, don't start a convention. But I had pre-planned everything out so much that all I had to do was go around and put out little fires. And I didn't really get to play anything, but it wasn't stressful. It wasn't a pain in the butt. It wasn't a headache. It was great. It was the best one-day con I've ever been to.
I know we had, I think we had a few people from Waycross come up there.
Cool.
So,
hello.
Can't remember. Yeah, we got some people saying, hey, Mitchell. He's, I think he's down in Jacksonville.
Oh, Mitch Mitchell is on? Yeah, he came to the convention.
Okay.
He was running. As a matter of fact, he's one of those independent guys that was running his game. He had an amazing table. Oh my gosh, the building he had, it was so awesome. It was killer.
What game was it?
It was World War II Assault. That's his game. Okay. And I didn't get, like I said, I got to play one game. But his table was amazing. I loved it. It was absolutely beautiful. And definitely, I mean, if he wants to come back, he's one of those guys. He's definitely welcome to come back. And Coastal Con is kind of about, some conventions are in competition with each other, and that drives me nuts because we're all playing games. We should all be helping each other out. Somebody said Coastal Con was great. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's Mike Baker. I think he's the one running the Waycross Gaming Community News page.
I know that one's probably Mitch. You're welcome, man.
Yeah, just back to Mitch.
But you know, I've seen that. I've been to enough conventions that there's this competition that if you're around the same time, it's like you gotta compete with the convention. And I'm like, that's nuts. For instance, we go to Siege of Augusta. I love Siege of Augusta because there's a lot of miniatures. Well, Scarab's going on at the same time. That's great. Like I just told you, our group down here, we've got half of them are board gamers, half of them are miniatures people. There's a lot of board gaming going on at Scarab. So next year, we're going to take our little happy miniature butts up to Siege of Augusta, and the other half of us are going to take our happy little board gaming butts up to Scarab, and we're going to support both of them because it doesn't. Nothing else makes sense. Nothing else makes sense. Otherwise, what are we doing, man? We're playing with little tiny plastic soldiers fighting about where we're going to go. I don't have time for that. That's crazy.
Yeah. So you got any projects you're working on lately? Terrain builds?
Always terrain builds. I'm actually in the process of building a whole bunch of airships. I got a whole bunch of airships on my table right now that I'm working on, and we're doing a big push for the Drowned Earth over the next 3 months. So our little planning group for Coastal Con, the guys that help me out, we kind of what we try to do is the independent games that we play, we'll take a 3-month period and we'll just hammer that game. You know, we'll do podcasts, we'll do videos, we'll do how to play, we'll do all of that kind of stuff for that game. We do challenges. We've got a paint challenge going on in the Twisted Facebook group and the Drowned Earth Facebook group right now, which both have prizes. And then over the course of those 3 months, we'll do a challenge and then just a kind of basically 2 challenges. So it's a terrain challenge, a painting challenge, and then the last one we do is a scenario contest where you're getting a legit prize from the developer. You might get a rule book or a faction starter, something like that. So that's what we try to do. And right now we're in the middle of our Drowned Earth push. We just finished our Twisted push. So that's kind of what we have on the table. And I'm already lining stuff up for Coastal Con 2021. But the coronavirus has gotten in my way of securing a location. But that'll all pan out, I'm sure.
Do you have a date in mind for the Coastal Con 2021?
Looking like we're going to go for the end of February, and that's because I want to say it's Rapier that moved, and they moved to that weekend. I think it was Rapier, and again, like I said, I don't want to compete with them.
Right.
I don't want to try to be on the same weekend with them. They're a great convention, a lot of historical stuff, but who cares? You know, you play what you love, no matter what it is. And so for me to just bump it a weekend in our first year, you know, we don't need to be like Adepticon where it's going to be right here because we're not that big. We can have that flexibility. So we will. It's looking like I think that's the 26th and 27th because I'm doing 2 days this year if it kills me. I'm not going to do 1 day because I felt like it was great. Don't get me wrong. I loved it, and I loved every second of it. Hold on a second. I'm going to get you. Yeah, 26th and 27th. So we're going for Friday and a Saturday.
Okay.
But I loved it, but it was over too fast.
Right. Yeah, all that work for 1 day.
No, it wasn't even that. It was over too fast because all of my convention buddies were there. Everybody was there. We were having a great time. Vendors were making a little bit of money. People were playing games. Guys with there were a couple guys there with their own games that were able to show them off. To me, that was what ended too soon. I didn't care about the work because it's really not that much when you stretch it out over the course of the year. It really wasn't that big of a deal. So.
All right, just for those that maybe have just come in, this is I'm Tyler Peck from the Waycross Gaming Community. I've got Mac with us. He's up in Beaufort. He helps run the Beaufort Tabletop Gaming. He started his own convention this past year. So thanks for tuning in. So for those, you've mentioned a couple games. For those that don't know, what's Twisted? What's Twisted about?
Twisted is set in the late 1800s, so 1880 to 1890, somewhere in that time frame. It's a steampunk world where there is this power called the engine, and it manipulates the world at large, and it's trying to protect itself from the people that are looking for it and the people that want to harness it, and just it's manipulating reality around it. And it's a really cool game. It's a steampunk feel. If you like that, great. If you don't, you might not like the game. But it's a small-scale skirmish game, so you're playing anywhere from 6 to maybe 12 models. You might get to 12 models if you were doing like playing Horde-ish with just a bunch of small models. You might get to 12. It's the interesting mechanic about it is that it uses a regular set of polyhedral dice. So it's not a D6 or a D10 or a D8 system or a custom dice system. It's your regular RPG dice. And it's very heavily narrative driven. So it kind of makes you feel like you're playing a role-playing game because you're using your RPG dice, your D20s, your D4s, you're using all that stuff. And it's out of Australia by a company called Demented Games. And they're amazing. They're awesome guys. I asked them if they would be interested in being part of Coastal Con. I didn't ask them for anything. I just asked if they would like to, would you like us to, can I officially say that you're a sponsor? I don't want anything from you because we didn't have any financial sponsors. They were like, sure. So I made an order with them, and the guy Peter tells me, he says, well, I'll set you up with an account so you can get them at cost since you're doing it for the convention. I'm like, awesome. Well, I'm going to buy way too much stuff. So I did. I bought way too much stuff. And the box was twice as big as what I had ordered because he had sent me a whole bunch more stuff for the convention to sell. And I passed off the stuff to be sold to Alan at Discover Games because the only money stuff I do is you checking in at the door at the convention. I don't want anything else to do with it. And the raffle. Got to have the raffle.
Right. Okay. Tell us about Drowned Earth. You mentioned it a couple times already too.
Drowned Earth is a pretty cool game. It's a post-apocalyptic game, but the appeal for that one for me that hooked me was it's not your typical post-apocalypse. It's 500 to 1,000 years after. So the Earth and society is recovering. And what I like about it is you have to have a really terrain dense table. Well, that's right up my alley, man. I'm all about that. I'm like, wait a minute, you need me to build how many pieces of terrain for this table? Okay, I'll build you that and 2 more. And it plays vertically as well as horizontally in the game, which is very unique. Has some unique mechanics, some similarities to other games, reactions like Infinity, stuff like that. But it plays very smoothly, and it's also a 4 to 6 model game, so it's skirmish. You can play it on a 3x3 table. Larger scenarios kind of they shine on a 4x4 because you can really incorporate that vertical element, and it's out of the UK. So really, a lot of the games that we push are from out of the country, and we do a lot of that through Discover Games in Fayetteville, Georgia. Because what he does is he'll purchase from them, and he kind of has become, they don't want to go through a distributor because all of the background stuff for that, a distributor doesn't want to have stuff sitting on their shelf. So they're not going to buy this niche game. Right. And he does, and he stocks them. So he's got them available in the US. So you're not paying $30 shipping from Australia. And he gets them off the shelf because he goes to conventions with me and sets up behind me, and I run the game right in front of him. And then I go, did you like that? And for anybody that's listening that's ever been to a convention, then the impulse buy kicks in. You're like, yeah, I like that game. I should buy everything right now. And the impulse buy takes over. So yeah.
What was that guy's name again?
Alan at Discover Games in Fayetteville. And it's discover-games.net. He has an online store now too. So
he just requested to join our group the other day. I think he saw one of the posts that I made, and because when he answered the questions, he said that he ran Discover Games in Fayetteville.
Yep. Yeah, it could have been either Alan or Troy. Troy's the manager, Alan's the owner. but they're top shelf guys. I really like them, and they kind of work with us, and we help each other out. That's what we're supposed to be doing. It's a gaming community. You know what I mean? We shouldn't be fighting with each other. And I don't think it, by and large, we don't. I'll tell you one thing. During all this coronavirus stuff, the most upbeat people in the world have been the gaming community. Nobody's had anything down to say. It's always been, hey, I got 47 models painted this week on quarantine.
Yeah.
So it's been the gaming community at large has been very refreshing for all the nonsense that's out there in the media, to see everybody just, you got to find a silver lining. You stuck at home, you got a giant pile of shame. You may as well start working through it. That's right. Start working through it.
Get those gray minis painted.
That's right. The Gray Legion is dead now. It is now painted.
So before the Corona hit, what was like the most popular game going on in Beaufort?
Well, our actual
a couple of the games that were big.
Well, like I said, we tend to push the indie games. So there's a bunch of them that we do, and Twisted was rolling. It's a fantastically fun game. It's got gorgeous miniatures. The sculptor for a lot of them is Lux Thantor. People may or may not know him, but hey, what's up, Raul? But he's a phenomenal sculptor, and so the models are just absolutely gorgeous. And the game it's just a good game, and it's easy to get into a game when the developer is super passionate about it. And Twisted is one of those games. Drowned Earth is one of those games. Urban Manhunt is one of those games. These games that we push, that's Free Blades. That is one of those games that people are just the people that are behind it. They want to see it succeed financially. Yes, I mean that's just a reality of it. But they want to see it succeed because they love the game, and that's nice. That's nice. And in fact, not to bash anybody that's listening, 40K, but the new guy that's in charge at Games Workshop now is kind of a refreshing breath to the way Games Workshop had become. For him he makes it feel more like Games Workshop is focused back on the gaming community again and not the business side of it. So the guy, and I don't know his name, but the guy that they changed to, that I don't think they could have made a better decision. So because bringing that passion back into it, and that's why Twisted was what it was with us.
Right. You mentioned Free Blades. I think that's the game that Lee Yoakum and Sarah Yoakum, they're in our group. I think they became.
Yeah.
I think they were up at Coastal Con and they really liked it. And is it called Ambassador or
Questers? They
want to show it, whatever it's called. So I know
Questers.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a great game too. Again, it has a very narrative feel. It plays very much like an RPG. It's if I were to give an initial assessment, I would say that it's a bit rules heavy, but it's rules heavy for a reason. It's because it plays like an RPG. So your character, it's kind of, when you're playing an RPG, your paladin and your cleric and your wizard, they've all got their individual sets of rules that are pretty extensive. And that's kind of how Free Blades is. And it's got the campaign system, so they become better like an RPG character. So while it is rules heavy in that regard, it's kind of like learning your character when you learn your faction, unless, of course, you're like me and you have to learn all the factions because for some strange reason you ended up with all of them somehow and you're unsure of how that actually happened. Okay, I'm not unsure. I know how it happened. But yeah, it's a fun game. And again, those guys are amazing. The people, Julie and Matt, came down. That was so the way that went is I contacted them and I said we would love to represent. So they got in touch with Alan, said we'll send you some stock so that you can sell it there. And then they got back with me and because I had told them, I said I'm trying to find somebody to run it. I've got somebody in Myrtle Beach who will run demos. And Matt was like, "Oh, don't worry about it. We're just going to come." I was like, "Yes, you're going to be here in an official capacity." But then they get here, and the way that they do business is when they come to the convention, they don't bring any product to sell at all. That's why they gave it all to Alan at Discover, because they want to support the local game stores.
Okay.
And if they're in competition at the convention with the game store, I mean, they're going to have more of Free Blades if they're there than your store is. So you're going to go there. So they just brought it, and they didn't give it to him, but they put it in his hands so that he was selling the Free Blades merchandise, and they were just running the games. Yeah. And that's amazing that they think like that.
Right. Yeah, that's really cool. I know I've seen a lot, again, before Corona hit, Rumble Slam. That looked like it was either you were just painting it because maybe you like wrestling, or it was actually a good game that y'all were doing heavy up there.
Rumble Slam is a really good game. It's TT Combat game out of the UK, and it's very much a beer and pretzels game. So it's super light. It's fun. It's way non-competitive, and it's the kind of game that you can get destroyed in and still walk away laughing because you can't believe that your ogre was just pinned by a halfling. So it's a really fun game. But like I said, it's definitely a beer and pretzels game. Custom dice. I tend to find that games with custom dice generally, not all the time, but generally lean towards more of a relaxed beer and pretzels kind of, the guys just come over, you chuck some dice, you laugh, and that's it. No list building, no strategies, none of this excessive competitive gaming. You're just throwing dice and laughing at each other.
Right. Yeah, I bought it like right as the Corona was hitting, so I have not even had a chance to put it on the table or anything. I've been painting a few of the minis, and but I've had fun kind of doing that. So obviously, if you're a wrestling fan, you see some nods to some of the old school guys.
Oh yeah, so, the Undertaker's definitely in there. There were
Gravedigger, whatever his name is, or something like that.
And I tried to paint the majority of mine like someone. So my halfling, my human team is painted up as I got Tully Blanchard and Nikita Koloff, Raging Bull Manny Fernandez, Bam Bam Bigelow, and I can't even remember who I painted the last halfling as.
I think I painted Gunn. Obviously, that's Hulk Hogan,
right?
So I put like Gunnomania on his shirt as he's ripping it.
Didn't go NWO. That's good.
Well, on his pants, I have OWO, Orc World Order.
Okay.
So, but just to be a little different and be kind of goofy there. All right. Again, this is Tyler from Waycross Gaming.
Hi, Tyler.
Mac. I've got Mac from up in Beaufort. So, got a couple things. We'll call this little segment "This or That." So I'll give you two choices, and so you just we'll kind of fire it off quick. So this or that, Western or fantasy?
Western.
All right, in Rumble Slam, Chuck or the Nut?
Oh, Chuck all day.
For those that don't know, Chuck is, I guess, kind of
Doink the Clown.
Yeah, like Doink the Clown, maybe Pennywise.
Yeah,
if he's evil. Thundercats or He-Man?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I'm gonna have to go He-Man though, just because I'm a little bit older.
Were you NWO Black and White or were you Wolfpack?
Neither.
Neither. Okay.
Neither.
So you were just true WCW.
I didn't like either one of them. I mean, I hated them appropriately. But I wasn't behind either one of them. I'm a Hitman fan.
Bret the Hitman. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Actually, my most favorite wrestler is Ronnie Garvin, Hands of Stone, Ronnie Garvin. But that's going way back to the NWA. Yeah,
that might have been just before my time.
Yeah, that's reaching back a little bit.
All right. We'll go instead of like the Fab Five from Michigan, we'll go Fab Fave. So what was your favorite miniature to paint?
Wow. I have over like 3,000 painted miniatures, and you're asking me which one was my favorite.
Well, your most recent favorite
My most recent
miniature that you
favorite.
painted. And if you want time to go pick up or pick her up.
All right, give me a second. I'll show you. Give me 1 sec.
All right. We'll take a 30-second time out while Matt goes and gets his miniature.
All right, so this is probably my favorite one recently. This is for Mythos from War Cradle Studios. This is Click Clack. It's a Cthulhu game.
Okay.
That's my favorite one that I've painted recently. I painted that one a couple nights ago on our Thursday night paint and chat that we do on Zoom.
Okay. And what game was that for again?
Mythos from War Cradle Studios. They it was actually produced by, I can't remember the name of the company, but the game company was going under. The game was dead, and they purchased the game. Didn't really change much. Resculpted some minis, increased the size a little bit, re-released the game. War Cradle's big enough that kind of put the big engine behind the game to get it more publicity, get it out there more. And not sure if I'm going to play it. I got it because I loved the minis, and I like miniatures agnostic games. So if I find stuff that I can use in other games, it's probably going to end up in my shopping cart.
Exactly. What's favorite game to teach?
Favorite game to teach? Probably Rumble Slam. Because we've never had a bad experience with that. Like I said, it's one of those games you can lose and still be laughing about it. And when I run demos, I try to let everybody win so that they get walk away with a good taste in their mouth. But sometimes the dice just don't let that happen.
Right. What is your, I guess your current favorite game system?
Current favorite
as far as like rule set,
Twisted.
How mechanics game. All right. Any particular reason?
Narrative. It's got a great story. It's got an absolutely amazing story. So that's why I love a narrative game that tells a story. I don't play competitively. I want to string games together and tell a story.
All right. We had a question come in. It looks like it's from Mitch Mitchell. He said, are there any Kickstarters you're anticipating or waiting on?
There's two, actually. Only one that I've backed right now. I'm still on the fence about the other one. So one is Bot War out of Australia. That's a game produced by Anthony Mallet. And it's a really neat game. Again, it's kind of a beer and pretzels game. There's tactical depth to it, but on the surface, you can play it with your 6-year-old because it's very light. And that's a fun game. That's in Kickstarter right now. And then the other one is there is a game called Twilight, The Chronicles of Anural. And this is a guy, Mike Thorpe. We actually just did an interview with him on our podcast, Indie Invasion. We just did an interview with him. It's also on our YouTube channel. And he yesterday the Kickstarter launched. And it's, again, that's a very narrative-driven game. So this Kickstarter is just civilian models that are part of the game that he's producing. So, and he's producing them in lieu of the fact that he didn't get to go to Salute because of the coronavirus.
All right. We had a question come in and said, missed the start, the name of your game store, or do you have a store?
We actually do not have a store here. The closest one is over an hour away. But our game store is actually in Fayetteville, Georgia. We use Discover Games because if we order from them, it's 2 days and we have the package in hand. And since they carry a lot of the independent game developers, they're kind of right up our alley. Their online store has really exploded. They went from something like, we were talking about it last night, something like 250 items in the store to over, I can't remember. He either said 2,000 or 5,000. I can't remember which one he said.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, I went online or the other night when he requested to join, and I saw that he had run Discover Games. I looked it up online, so it definitely looks appealing.
Yeah, they've got some really good stuff, and it's a good store too. I mean, it's got a good footprint, lots of tables in it. We actually, Raul and I, who's on with us listening right now, my buddy, he and I went down there. I want to say it was in November last year, and we did. Alan called it the Mini Mac Con. We went down there and we demoed 4 or 5 games and pulled in a couple of other people. Nick Bogart, who does Miniature Misfits, he has a 3D printing service. He came over and ran Twilight. We were running Deep Wars, Twisted, Drowned Earth, and Bot War. So, and we went down there and just set it up and ran all day long in the store. And we'll be going back there sometime this summer after the Corona nonsense is over, and thinking maybe August, September, because we're hopefully going to be going to the Southern Fried Convention in Atlanta. Hopefully.
Do you know if Discover Games is currently open right
now?
They
are online, and they're doing curbside service. Yep.
Curbside. Okay.
Yep.
Same guy, Heath Coker. He has a 3D printing service here.
Yes.
Waycross Swamp Works.
Yep.
So he asked favorite paint brand or brushes.
Okay, so I got a new favorite paint. Picked these up. My buddy Adam, Invisible Hand Paint Studios, introduced me to these. This is Pro Acryl from Creature Caster. And this stuff is amazing. It's thin, but the coverage is fantastic. Best part about it is it's a 22 milliliter bottle versus your 18 mil bottle that you get for Army Painter. And if I'm not mistaken, it's 16 mil for Citadel paints. This costs less than both of those. Comes with more paint, and every bottle comes with an agitator in it. And it's got I thought these were great. It has a glue style cap for you to do the paint. And they're fantastic. I love them. So right now, my favorite brush is, I have a Kolinsky Sable that I do eyes and stuff with, but I mostly use Army Painter brushes. But having just discovered this paint, they also have some brushes. So my Army Painter brushes are almost dead, and I will be ordering a set of the brushes from Creature Caster to try it out, because I'm really excited to try them out. Because like I said, my buddy's a pro painter, and he's really good, and he speaks highly of them. So I'm like, well, I'm not a pro painter, but I still like a nice paintbrush.
Well, what's the step right underneath pro? Because that's probably what you are.
Oh, no, not me, man. I'm the kind of painter I am is I like the way my stuff looks on the table, and that's good enough for me.
I disagree, but anyway, I think you're pretty close to pro.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
It says, he said that those brushes from Creature are his favorite.
Oh, okay, cool.
So, and he said, and they're white rocks.
They're white rocks.
So
what are their? I don't know what their white rocks are.
I think he means, I guess they're white paint.
Oh, they're white rocks. Oh, yeah. You know what? I haven't even cracked open my white for Pro Acryl, because I'm trying. I've got just a little bit left in my Army Painter, and I'm just trying to use that up before I open that. And the other thing too about them is they have a freshness seal on the paint. So you got to open the cap, and then you have to peel the freshness seal off. I'm like, come on, man. That is some serious packaging right there. They're amazing.
Raul, your favorite kind of terrain to build? A table thing around.
Probably Drowned Earth stuff, because you just get to build so much. There's just so much you get to do with it, since it's this destroyed world with nature taking back over. You can literally walk down the aisle at Hobby Lobby in the plant section and just start throwing stuff in your basket. Come home, break out your hot glue gun, and start gluing it to a broken toy, and you're like, bam, there you go. Best piece of terrain I've ever made. So that's always really fun to build.
I think it was Mitch Mitchell's asked your opinion of the GW contrast paints.
Is it talent in a bottle? No, but they're good. They're a good toolbox. I like them. As a matter of fact, this model right here was done with a fair bit of contrast paints. So that green is their Militarum green. I can't really get that to focus very well, but
it looks good on this end.
And so I think that they have some really good colors. I like their flesh. I use that a lot. But as far as talent in a bottle, so here's my take on it. If you're not a very good painter and you don't really care, it's great. Because if you slap like the skin color on a face or exposed arms where you're seeing musculature and stuff, it automatically gives you your highlightings and your shading. And it's great. And you can leave it right there and it looks good. But you can use it from there and then highlight and do whatever else you want to do to it. Which is usually what I do. But I like them. I don't like all of them. I think some of them don't have enough coverage and some of them are too dark. But I also make my own inks and washes and glazes anyway. So I was kind of already doing that anyway. Kind of have my own contrast paints anyway. Before that, there's a really good painting guide from Antimatter Games that I'm not sure if it's free or not, the PDF. And if it's not, it's probably like $2. But it's a really good one. And he doesn't paint with any of these kind of paints that you see like back here. No GW, no nothing. He paints with the acrylics in a tube. Mixes all of his own colors, makes all of his own glazes, inks, washes, and everything. And so I started doing that a couple of years ago. And it was really kind of nice because then you weren't limited to those colors of washes, right, inks, and glazes, and being able to do more. And it's just a constant experimenting. Like I said, I appreciate your comments, but I'm always looking to improve my painting.
Yeah.
And like I tell my kids when they sit down to paint, the only person that has to like your paint job is you.
Exactly. Yeah.
So,
that's good.
And
advice.
I like.
So, and what?
And I like mine. So
okay, yeah. Well, that's all I've got. If we want to, I don't know if any more comments are coming in, but just again, I wanted to thank you, Mac, for sitting down with me and kind of just really giving this a test and kind of seeing what's going on.
Happy to be the guinea pig.
So again, Coastal Con 2021, you said February 26th and 27th.
Yep. And go join the Facebook group and also check out. So where you can really start getting some more updates and stuff too is we have our first podcast up on our Indie Invasion podcast. We'll be recording our next one Sunday. And again, our focus is independent game market. We are on TuneIn, Pocket Cast, Podbean, iTunes, Google Play. There's probably something else I'm missing, but I ran the gamut of them. So we're at, what'd you say? Spotify. That's right. We're on Spotify too. It's my son helping me out, one of them. And
right.
So it's
those, the link or whatever, is that on the Coastal Con Facebook page or?
Yeah. And there's also a page for Indie Invasion. So you can go there. You can go there as well. And that would be cool if we got some more followers because it's a lot of fun and it's just trying to continue to develop and give independent game developers. I mean, we're not big or anything, but we are a convention and we're happy to give independent game developers. They are free to come and run whatever game they want. It is cool because that's what we want to do. And as a last note from me, this is in no way a comparison to what we're going to become, but hey, you never know. But for our first year, we did have more attendance our first year at Coastal Con than Adepticon or Gen Con did their first year. So I thought that was pretty good. That made me happy, made me feel like we did pretty good.
Yeah, that's awesome. So yeah, we're really excited for y'all. I know y'all are excited up there in Beaufort and the surrounding area, but we were pretty happy and stoked about it as well. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it due to basketball.
Yeah.
So it's kind of right there at the end of basketball season where getting ready for a region tournament, stuff like that. So The date doesn't work for me usually, but maybe next year. So we'll see.
Oh yes, you
But
should.
again, Mac, like I said, I appreciate you joining me, and we enjoyed it. So,
Well, thanks a lot, man.
any last word? Any last words?
Yeah, CoastalCon 2021.
All right. Have a good one, Mac.
All right, buddy. Bye.
All right. Bye.